Good morning, everyone. My host is coming on shortly, but while he is getting ready, I wanted to quick start this morning because we're doing a portal. We're in the middle of this beautiful vortex, this energy portal, and everything. I was going to start with a card pull. Um, this wasn't part of the divine masculine, divine feminine, and everything, but it just came to me to just do this, see what energy has to say, because I love seeing what source. I was just going to see where my selenite is. Hold on a second. Just like clearing the cards with something here. Clear the cards. Some crystal here. So as I did that, I found what I was looking for, of course. And here he comes. Perfect timing here. I'm going to let him in. Morning, Yogesh.
Good
Evening.
morning.
Evening for you.
Evening for me, yeah.
Yeah. But here we go. I'm going to quick pull a card and then we'll start. And the card is deserving. Oh, that's a beautiful card. So I'm feeling like we all, we're always manifesting something. So right now, it's connecting with our conscious energy. And if you look, there's just like all this abundance in the background. So a lot of times, what energy will tell us is, do we truly deserve that abundance? So, as we connect with this energy, we have to truly feel that we deserve whatever is coming towards us. Because if we don't truly connect with the energy and feel like we truly deserve whatever that abundance is, then source is not going to connect with the energy the same way. So that's very important as you manifest, that you feel in all aspects of your fields that you truly deserve what you are manifesting, because source, because Mother Gaia, all the energy, energy reciprocates with energy. So if you don't feel like you deserve it, it's going to respond with whatever energy you connect. So if you feel like, oh, I'm always getting lack, I'm always getting tons of whatever, then that's what source will respond with, because they just respond with kind, or with the same kind of energy. So source and Mother Gaia is telling you that you deserve this abundance, and to bring that energy into your fields at this time while you manifest. So that is just a beautiful start to our discussion.
It's very interesting you pull this card because the topic today is healing the divine.
Yeah, healing the divine masculine.
And, masculine, like we spoke about last time, represents so many things, right? Integrity. Um, and masculine energy is the energy that we use to push ourselves forward in our businesses, in so many matters where obviously the feminine energy is not needed. So it's, when you, especially this card about deserving, I just want to put in another word there. I was reading a comic book last year, and those of you that watch, read comic books, it was Avengers, and some of you might know the movies. And there's the character Thanos, right? The guy who gets the gauntlet, and he wants to rule the world, and then he loses the gauntlet again for the second time. And then I was reading about it, and there's this other character, and he tells him, "Do you know why you lost it? Because you didn't believe you deserved it. So somewhere in our subconscious mind, it's always in the subconscious, right? It's not in our conscious mind. If you are feeling you don't deserve it, you will self sabotage yourself. You will, when something's about to work out for you, suddenly something else comes in the way. So it's all about your subconscious and the divine masculine. So without wasting any more time, uh,
And that's so true. It's all connected, and it does connect in certain ways with with our feminine in certain ways, because we have to be in our heart center space to connect with that aspect. So it's that yin yang aspect again for that to connect. But, and that's why we bring in our divine feminine before our divine masculine. But yeah, you're totally right about that. Very,
so
very
like you mentioned last week, we mentioned, right, divine, healing the divine feminine. And once you heal the divine feminine, it's time to heal the divine masculine,
hmm.
right? Again, that energy factor there again, if one side is working, the other side has to work as well,
Yeah.
in order for energy to flow, in order to be in alignment, in order for things to manifest. And I guess the question now is, Christina, tell us your story of where your divine masculine energy was not healed.
Huh. Where do I start? Well, I mean, there's lots of different aspects. The more I heal or bring in these events, the more I can see those different aspects of myself and bring in those healing aspects for myself. Because in order to hold space for other people in these retreats, it has to come in for ourself first. I mean, it probably started way back last summer or before the first retreat in last, before we started the very first retreat in uh, um, back last spring. But there's lots of aspects, lack of boundaries. Lack of boundaries is a real big issue. Unhe- when we don't have uh, boundaries in in the healed masculine version, this affects all aspects of our life. And for myself, I had, I had been healing my boundaries for years. I'd been healing them in my private life as I became a Reiki master, Reiki practitioner, light worker. But then as I started to bring in these retreats, these events, it came up all over again, because as you bring it in and hold space, I realized there was way more, you whole different, you're connecting in a larger aspect. And so I had to reassess all over again. And I realized I had more boundaries to heal. There's always a place to go back and heal more. And so the unhealed version of the masculine is lack of boundaries. There's very, we are always healing our lack of boundaries. When we act like a little child, coming back and healing those aspects of our inner child. That is, there's always that little boy or that little girl in you that you can go back and do that little inner child healing and give that child that love. And that's so profound, because as a child, we might have experienced a lot of trauma, a lot of pain. And when we can go back and give our child that healing, that love. So that's just like immensely powerful. That's so powerful. And then when we are able to do that for ourselves, we're able to hold space so we can do that and share that aspect for other people. And then it becomes a ripple effect. And I know as I've done that for myself, the it's affected how I am with my family. Like my relationship with my mother and my daughters is growing immensely. And I'm holding space for it to grow with my son as well, because this is, that was always my goal all along. That was my intention, is for it to grow so much inside of me that it affected my my personal family, and I see it now, and that's the most beautiful thing that could ever happen. Um, Being selfish. Now, there's a difference between being selfish and having, being self, having self care and stuff like that. But when we're on the unhealed masculine is just plain selfish. So there's different variations of that. And so we can, when we are able to be more conscious and aware, then we start realizing, gosh, I was kind of selfish there. And we can be aware of that and go back and talk to those people that we were that way, and acknowledge that, and say, you know, I'm I realize I was selfish there, and it really turns those relationships around. It really does. It makes a huge difference when you can acknowledge that with the people you care about. Um, when we don't follow through, or we're indecisive or not committed, you know, we're like on the fence, or we just don't want to commit to things. Um, I can't tell you how many times I felt that way. I'm a Libra. You know, I'm a Libra. I'm constantly going back and forth. I'm not sure if I want to do this or I do, but when you can start to really commit to something and follow through, that really makes a difference in the healing process. And not even just the healing process, in all kinds of aspects of your life, when versus like I can't even tell you how many different aspects of your life that makes a difference in, whether you're doing it with healing, your financial aspect, whatever you choose to do it in, it can make such a tremendous difference, because there's been so many times when I've just wanted to be an ostrich. I get really overwhelmed, and I'll just bury my head in the sand, because there's so many things going on. And then I'll be like, okay, enough's enough, and I actually look at everything and start following through with it. And that's when the difference, the change happens, and it becomes so significant. And then I start feeling good about myself, you know, and that feels really good. So, feeling really attached to the need to succeed, that actually is we're all on our own um, path. So we don't need to compare to anyone else. So there was a while back where I would always like look at myself compared to other people, and all it did is make me feel bad. It did. But then when I turned things around and I said, hey, you're a Libra too? Hey, happy twin birthdays. um, yeah, when I could start just turning it around and say, wow, they're doing it like this. Okay, I'll take a little grain of that from someone and a grain of something that they're doing, and use those as a way to encourage myself to grow, instead of a way to um, compare so much. And then what I did, all of a sudden, I was able to feel good about their achievements and cheer them on and feel more like we were all in one community. And then it started to feel good when they were achieving things because I could honestly feel like I was behind them. Like, this is exciting when they had achievements. Like, I wasn't feeling bad about it anymore. And then when I made achievements, it felt different because it felt like we were, I had really done it. And so the success wasn't so much a competitive thing. It was more, I'm just doing it on my own path. They're on their own path, and we're all in a group supporting each other. So I don't look at I don't compare myself to other people, because when I do, then it almost feels like a caddy game or something. And we're not here to do that. We're here to support each other, because when I go up with source or I meditate, we're all just fragments of one. And that's what I remind myself. So, another aspect is the fear of failure. I used to be really afraid of failure. And now I, when I get that way, I talk to my angels and my angels and source, and they tell me it's okay. They got me, they've got me. And this is just, we're all in a learning lesson. How can I fail when I'm just learning? And so I just keep that mindset. And that's how I go with it. Because if I don't, um, we're just learning. So if you are taking a math, learning math, it's not a matter of failing or or anything. You're just learning how to do a math, uh, you know, procedure or something. So I look at it different, and then it drops that perception for me. Um, and the need to be right. That I've really worked on that as well. I try and see things as there's like what happened was I started doing quantum with my quantum master. And what he says is there's like a million ways to get to source. So I try and think of a million different aspects to the same thing. So, okay, I might see it as this way, but someone else might see it as a whole nother way. And so when someone else is showing me or saying something, a lot of times I try and drop what I'm seeing and try and see it in their perspective. But when I get really frustrated or triggered, that's when I try and say, okay, why am I triggered? What's going on? And that's when there's a healing lesson there. And there's, because I'm feeling the need to be right. You know what I'm saying? So there's always that cold and distant when I'm feeling like I need to be distant to my family or friends or something. That's another healing lesson. Something's going on that I'm feeling triggered and stuck in the mind. The same thing. A lot of times if I'm stuck on something, it's because I need a quantum healing, or I need meditation, or I need to ground. I need to just go sit out with my tree. I love to sit out with my tree and put my feet right on the ground. And that just spending 20 minutes doing that, it cures so much stuff. Buddha would do that all the time, and that's how he would meditate. And it's he's I love that. Um, not not in touch with my emotions. That's usually when I'm feeling like not connected with something, and I'm needing to dig deeper for a quantum healing. It's like, what is under there? What is under there? And I have to keep going further and further to figure it out, because there's beliefs, um, there's things, hooks or attachments holding me back from something that's not, um, so I can't see the whole picture, and I'm not being able to connect with my inner truth. And so as I go deeper and deeper, I can connect with my own self. And I do that either through quantum healing, or I'll just do it through a meditation. But if the meditation isn't enough, that's how I do it. And I just release it. And it's really nice, because quantum healing isn't even through hypnosis. We're not even using that. We're completely alert, through the whole session. Um, or defense, when I defend myself quickly, that's that's usually an act of a trigger. I'm triggered for something. If I'm defending myself, I'm thinking out of my head and not out of my heart. And there's something there that I'm needing to address. And usually if I do that, I'm like, ooh, I'm triggered. There's, I need healing here. I need to work on this. So all of those things are just a lot of figuring out, and the more I work with that stuff, the more I can address it and realize, hey, this is happening. Because the more I heal those aspects, the faster it is to connect and realize that that's what's happening.
Well, everything you said, I can relate to. I can completely relate to, because I had done a 6-month leadership course where everything you mentioned, from acknowledging, when you spoke about being selfish and self-care, and acknowledging the fact that you're wrong, right? Unhealed divine masculine would never do that. But the 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 whole paradox of it is, when you do that, you actually are more released, because you're not needing to be right, like you said. So when you're not needing to be right, you're coming from the heart center, which makes so much sense. And boundaries, definitely you need boundaries, right? The divine feminine is the creatives, the divine masculine is the action taker. But if you don't set your boundaries in place, it can really distort a lot of things, especially relationships. Like you mentioned, you were healing your relationship with your mom, your children, all of that. The fear of failing, right? Unhealed divine masculine will always have the fear of failing. He will always worry about what the secondary uh, person is thinking about him. And that again stops us from taking action, which is what the divine masculine needs to do. And you mentioned one more thing towards the end, which was, what was the last thing you mentioned? I can't recall right now, because there was a lot of juice in what you said just now.
Maybe
Um,
not in touch with their emotions or defense themselves.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, not in touch with their emotions, and um, they lie to themselves to a point where their lies become their reality,
Yeah.
right? And that's a way of avoiding those triggers that you just mentioned, right? You're getting triggered means you need healing, and they do that by just lying to themselves. And it comes to a point where the lies feel real.
Very much so. Yeah, because you can make your own creation. You can create your own existence. So if you believe whatever is going on, then that's your reality. That. But the thing is your subconscious mind still knows, hey, this is still unhealed and it will continue. And then you start to have physical symptoms. And that's what will occur. You'll start to have pain. You'll start to have other things that will occur. And that's where you'll, and that's what happened with me. And then it started to manifest and until I started to really have to address it. But everyone chooses on their own when they're ready.
Well, yeah, what you said is correct, which brings us back to the card you pulled about deserving, right? Um, when you feel deserving, you will take those steps, what you said, all those steps, because again, divine masculine is all about taking action. Divine feminine, let's just put it this way: divine feminine is the fuel, divine masculine is the car, right? But if your gear's in the wrong place, your tire is flat, you're leaking fuel, it's not going to move forward. So that's where the yin and yang combination come in, right? The fuel is the creativity, the thinking process, but if it's not going to move forward with the masculine, divine masculine, it's not going to go anywhere. And you mentioned about hugging a tree, that's one way for you to process and heal yourself. What are some other modalities you can suggest to the viewers on healing divine masculine? Another is definitely acknowledging that you're wrong,
Oh, yeah.
and the need not to be right. I've in my course that we had a linguistic course where we would have to call up people in the past where we thought we were right and we wronged them, and we had to call them up and say that, I thought that I was right, but that was my side of the story. What is it that was going on in your side of the story? And so that's in its own is another healing process because you mended that relationship. You're coming from heart center. But what are other ways we can heal the divine masculine?
Before I go into that, that's very profound because, as I've gone through this process, I have seen like other people that I have had just, relationship problems with, I hadn't spoken to in a while. I have gone out of my way to contact them and tell them, hey, I don't know your side of the story, but I apologize because I can just see that even if just that there was a good chance that I was wrong in the whole situation. And I can just see it more. I can see it with more love and more perspective. And it was just very important to me to offer that to them for even if we don't ever talk again, but just for that heart healing to occur. And it was just beautiful for me to just give that. So that's a beautiful thing that you did that for your course as well. But another thing besides doing that is some of these is being, connecting with that inner father image or other father people in your life. It doesn't even have to be a father. I even like there's been people that I've had that have been like the same age or even a little bit younger and that I've had relationships with that have offered, this kind of support. Um, Learning to be assertive, offering, learning to be able to speak your truth and say it in a way that's not necessarily mean, but really just speaking how you feel without saying it um, in a, just being very formally, this is how it is. This is what I'm needing. This is what I'm expecting from you, and what are you expecting from me, kind of thing. And really starting to state those those making those statements. Um, Starts being active in your pursuits. You know, if you have something that you are really intending to do, make it a point of doing it. And you don't have to like go out and, you know, if you want to be a runner, go out and run 60 miles every day. You can start by running a half a mile and then a mile. And then, you know, you can start by little increments. And I think a lot of people get overwhelmed because they think they have to do a huge chunk all at once. But a lot of times, what it is we have to start with little teeny parts and build up to that big goal. And that's how we become active in our pursuit, whatever that pursuit may be. So, you know, find what your intention is and be active in it now, whatever, you know, that is, because that's really, really important. And really start working from your heart center, even though that's part of the divine feminine is, it's still very important in the masculine as well, to really connect before answering questions. You can take a little bit of time before you answer if you need to be that assertive self, you know, and say it in a very kindly manner, but still be assertive and speak from your heart.
Assertiveness is very, very important factor
Hmm.
of the divine masculine. Um, because as a lot of people I've noticed, they just can't speak up, and they're not clear on their intentions or what they want or what they expect from someone. And that can be very, very damaging in the long run. And it's not about right or wrong here. It's just about what they what they need in order for things to progress, right? A lot of people I know from the past, um, they would just run around the bush. They would not be assertive in what they really required from my side.
Yeah, and you can choose. Everyone's going to have their own values. So figuring out what your values are really important, because then when you really know what your values are, you can connect with those before answering questions for people. You know, hey, is this within my value system? Is this connecting with that, or is this out of my value system when I do something? And that will really kind of help when you're making those decisions with people.
Exactly. Exactly. Is
You know,
there any other modalities you want to share with us about?
um, also grounding especially is really important, because safety, security, having that foundation is extremely important, because when we're, you know, very secure and grounded, then we can drop down into our heart space and feel strong enough to be in our power, you know. So and what I've been really feeling lately is a lot of people are not completely grounded. Um, that's been very pretty much a common theme. And I've been noticing that that's going to be something that's going to be coming up a lot right now with um, the energy of this eclipse and everything, is grounding and staying hydrated. So really spending some time to ground yourself, just spending time outside, um, or even using grounding oils if you can't be outside. I mean, I've been putting a lot of, you know, I spend time outside, but then I also use grounding oils on the bottom of my feet. That really, really helps. And it, I've been doing that in addition. I've been use crystals for grounding, whatever, or even you can soak in saltwater baths if that would help you. But grounding is really, really important because then it's going to help you connect with your own heart center.
Grounding is a big one.
It
Grounding
really
is a big one. Uh, I know I struggle with that, grounding my energy. My awareness goes all over the place, and it just. But when I ground myself, that's when I'm so focused and I feel so in peace, and like you said, heart centered. But when you're not grounded, it's like everything is pulling towards you, and you're pulling towards everything, and it's just not stable, right? When your mind is not stable, your heart is not stable, like your energetic fields are like all over the place. You're spreading it all thin. But when you're in that grounded energy, it's like a laser light, right? You have so much power and vibration and frequency at that point that you can attract anything. And I'll give you an example of that. A friend of mine in UK, the other day, I just sat and thought about him, and I was like, I need to give him a call. And and that point my awareness was just right in center, and he messages me last night asking me, hey, how you been?
is.
um, and that tells you that when you're grounded, when you're fully focused and aligned, that's when everything falls into place.
Very much
And it
so.
was, yeah, and it's not even about me calling him. He ended up messaging me.
Yeah, yeah, because of the telekinesis. Yeah, or telepathic skills. So it's telepathic. Well, yeah, and that's the thing. We can do so much stuff when we're grounded. It's so amazing. And it's a lot of times when we have a lot of empathic skills, we are in our headspace all the time. And so that's why grounding is extremely important. It's very, very common to not stay grounded or not be grounded because we just want to go off and do all this stuff in our head. And so bringing ourselves back, just it's so powerful.
You mentioned earlier about being under a tree, and Buddha did that as well. That is another form of grounding as well,
Yeah.
because you're just placed there next to nature, right? And that really grounds your energies. I just saw a video the other day where they were talking about how if we remove our shoes, and we are connected to Mother Gaia, Earth, your brain waves change immediately. So I can completely understand that when you're under that tree, your mind is in a more state of zen, more state of relaxed, and you're just aligned. But
Yeah.
it's unfortunate the world we live in, all these elements have taken away from nature.
Oh yeah. There's doctors that prescribe tree space time for patients because it's been known that it'll take down your blood pressure and stuff just by spending time with the trees. So I love spending time in canopy space. But yeah, I love to take off my shoes and socks and just put my feet right in the grass and the dirt because there's so much we get from just grounding our feet in nature. It it's amazing. And I never really realized how much I spent as a little girl barefoot and even, as a in my 20s and or why I did all that. But now it connects because I've gone around pretty much my whole life barefoot and now I understand why because I love to do that. It's been beautiful. And you know the woman who occasionally does my toes does not appreciate it because she says I'm always having to work on the bottoms of my feet. But the thing is it's been really, really nice because offers so much healing for your body to absorb all of the nutrients and everything. There's a lot that we receive from Mother Gaia, and we can actually connect with all these different, our own, our, all of these, our own tools, our own gifts through that. I receive a lot of downloads, a lot of connections from different, um, it's like I connect with other modalities and stuff while I'm doing that. It's really beautiful. So I learn how to use like the herbs and the garden, all these different things while I'm grounding. And I, they come in, and then that's what I pass on to my students because it's just there. You know, I've learned all kinds of things just being in the garden.
Nice. Which brings me to the retreat, right? The retreat is, again, coming back to nature and doing those practices and sessions where it'll be all about massage and healing and grounding and meditation, which will bring you back into a state of divine masculine and feminine. Um, do you want to add anything to that about what else is going to be there?
Well, the retreat is just basically it's the first step of a multiple step process because it takes quite a while to really bring us all into this. So this is going to be the first step bringing us into the divine feminine, and then we will have another retreat probably in October in Florida. It's looking like for bringing into the divine masculine, and then for the women. And then we're going to have another one bringing it all together. And that might even be a co ed. We're not sure yet. And then it will bring it all together. But each one of these retreats, we're going to just be showing all kinds of modalities to bring in the divine masculine or divine. First one is to bring in the divine feminine with just tons of different modalities, and that's going to be in July. That, and it's just we're going to start showing, you know, through breath work and yoga, and we have meditations. um, we're doing all these workshops, but then we're going to be doing, I mean, some of the stuff will be hands-on, some of the stuff will be, you know, stuff you're just going to connect with. It's going to be a whole lot of different things. So you'll know what you want to do when you go home, what you know, are like, oh my gosh, I love this. I have to do more of this. And what you're like, well, this is cool, but you know, you'll know which ones you're really, really connected with. And because it's it's a combination of all kinds of different things. So you'll be able to try lots of different things for healing and bringing up your vibration to bring in these codes to heal and to bring it. And it's also just to connect with other women who are going through similar things and can, you know, talk about it and support each other through the process. And then the next time we get together, we'll be able to converse, say, hey, how was the last couple of months for you? Let's talk, you know, and we'll be bringing in all new codes, doing all new activities. Same thing with the third. So each time we'll be bringing all new things. It's going to be
Got it.
really exciting.
Got it. Got it. I can't see the comments. Is if there's anyone with any questions or
Um, uh, only thing I see really besides hi is the first time I meditate was in 2018. I was here in the Hague, Netherlands, at 7 a.m. I went there and started meditating on the way. It took me 2 whole weeks to come out of my meditation. Wow. That must have been a very intense meditation. Yeah.
Very enlightening.
Yeah, I would love to hear more about that. Yeah. So, but I'm very happy to have you here. So that's that's really interesting. I would love to hear more about that meditation.
Yeah, me too. Me too,
Yeah.
because I've heard of people who can meditate in caves and they live off sunlight, you know, um, and water. That's all I've heard. And some people are meditating for 2 months, and I just don't know how that works. I mean, I have trouble meditating for 5 minutes. So I'd love to hear whoever commented there that they started meditating for that period of time.
My last master, she has friends who live off of sunlight and water. Um, and I have meditated probably for a couple days, when I've been ill, and to heal myself. I've meditated probably 2 to 5 days straight to heal myself, but I've never meditated more than that. And I've just had like water during those times, but I've never done more than that. Um, when I meditate, I have all kinds of thoughts rushing. Yes. When I've done those types of meditations, I've traveled through past lives. I've done like it's always very, very intense, extreme intense meditating, but it's always healed me. That I always do that when I'm, you know, got some intense work to do, but it always works. Always, see. but but yeah, so I've been doing that for a couple of years now when I need to, but I don't do it very often. Only probably once every 6 to 9 months. So,
Got it.
oh, she says, I saw my mother who died in 2016 and a coffin in black and white. It was in the middle of a superhero. That is me and a third, a dragon. I think that is my dad. I need to focus and forgive my dad for everything he has done to my mother. Yeah. Well, I feel like you have to choose. Yeah. It's feeling like if you feel like that that's going feels like it's going to take a little bit of time for you to do that, because there's it doesn't feel like that's just this lifetime. It feels like it's like 3 lifetimes worth, and you're working. It's a lot in your heart and sacral and solar chakra for you to do that work right now. So you're doing a lot of healing for that right now.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And
That's
thank you, Christina, for giving us all those stories and modalities about healing the divine
Yeah.
masculine. And um, I think we've covered this topic the last couple of weeks, and today will be the final live on this topic. Next week, we will be coming with a new series or new
Yep.
topic. If anyone in the guests want us to speak about anything, do let us know and we will bring it up on the live. But thank you so much for joining us once again on the Ultimate Live with Christina Will Spears, the founder of Ultimate Retreats, and me, Yogesh Kapoor, your host. We will see you again next Thursday. And for those of you that watch the replay, please do hashtag replay. And if you have any questions or you need to heal, reach out to Christina. She's a quantum healer. She's a multiple talented light worker. And we will see you next Thursday. Bye bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.